What's up guys, WWDC is just around the corner, and with that we are gonna get iOS 16 as well as iPadOS 16. And when it comes to the latter one, well, this is a quick video that's supposed to tell you don't really get too excited because, well, as negatively as it may sound, during the previous WWDC and iPadOS 16, Apple clearly showed us that they just don't want iPad to be anything more than it is right now. And the previous year was just the perfect time to actually introduce the full capabilities of the new improved iPadOS 15, maybe with some pro apps, maybe with some basic functions that will actually make the iPad more useful, more convenient. But unfortunately all we got was just Quick Note and a couple of widgets for our M1 iPad Pros, which was kinda sad and ridiculous, and showing that Apple is not really willing to push iPads to the limits or actually push it to the capabilities it's actually, now ready to take on. And unfortunately, I don't really expect iPad to really have many extra new features. And if anything, they are probably not gonna be that useful. I mean, right now, iPad is the only one that doesn't even have optimized battery charging. It waited like years for low power mode. Like, some things with iPad are being so underdeveloped that iPhone has had them for a long time, and iPads for some reason still don't have it. Like, again, the perfect example is optimized battery charging or battery health. I don't know why I can check this thing on my iPad without using some other external apps. Like, I can do this for iPhone for years now, and I still don't have that capability on iPad. I cannot stream more than actually, one soundtrack from an iPad. So for example, when I'm watching a stream and I wanna edit this video on YouTube, I can do that on my headphones or overall on my iPad, because it just doesn't allow me to play two tracks at the same time, which is, I expected to maybe get that capability with iPadOS 20. And when it comes to other more advanced functions, like, I'm not even mentioning Final Cut Pro or anything like that, but even more proper multitasking, which now M1 iPads are fully capable. I mean, they have 8 GB or 16 GB of RAM, they have tons of power. The capability could be that of MacBooks, but unfortunately it's not, and I don't think it's gonna change anytime soon. As I said, iPads are now between this iPhone and MacBook state, somewhere in the middle. So in many ways they are more capable than iPhones, with Apple Pencil, with multitasking, with bigger screens. But on the other hand, they are less capable than MacBooks in the way that they cannot do for example, some of the office work that MacBooks can do. They cannot open certain files, and it's very inconvenient. The file system is messed up, the Thunderbolt port doesn't just work the way it should work, the way I imagine it works. You still know it's an iPad when you open a website, even though these are theoretically computer websites, they still don't work the way they should sometimes. And yeah, like, the system, the website knows it's an iPad, even though it's supposed to be a laptop website theoretically. So it's still like a baby computer system for me, and I don't actually expect that to change that much, even though it will make a lot of sense. It will actually bring us to the future, just like the iPhone. Like, the iPhone killed the iPod Touch, and like that's just the way it was. The technology went forward, and it didn't seem to be much of a problem. Back then you used iPod and a phone, and with iPhone you only had one device.
An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device.
So why we can do this with iPadOS, with iPads in general, make them like between this MacBook and iPad state. I mean, the price now, it's that sometimes it's more expensive than MacBooks. Like, if you buy the 12.9-inch iPad Pro 1 TB, add Magic Keyboard, add Apple Pencil, this is gonna be way more expensive. And like, the capabilities are still, you cannot, for example, have Zoom and play another soundtrack and do something else, because the iPad is just not able, to cope with that because of the software. And, that's the main complaint. That's a little bit overrun when it comes to iPadOS 16, but I really don't have any expectations whatsoever when it comes to that system, and I suggest that maybe you don't have to, because like, we've been disappointed over and over. Like, the really big change for iPad was iPadOS 13, when it brought tons of capabilities, but like, after that, with iPadOS 14 we got pretty much nothing, to be honest, when it comes to extending the functionality of iPads. 15 was a big disappointment when it came to that. Like, we got Quick Note, we got some few convenient features, but like other than that, not too much. So yeah, kinda a negative video, but also I think the one needed some form of a rant, you know, monthly rant of iPadOS, since, you know, it's capable of way more than it can do right now, and unfortunately it's not doing, because Apple decides to keep that limited to a certain degree. And unfortunately, that said, I still love iPads, but hey, I'm just disappointed that with all that power and all that hardware that is in this device, we just reached the peak of iPadOS capabilities, where iPad Pro 2018 is pretty much the same when it comes to functionality to the iPad M1 from 2021, and there is literally no difference. So like, yeah, kinda a bummer when it comes to iPadOS, but truly I wouldn't expect much more when it comes to that.